English mode turned on. Jeg skal skru på engelsk. Nei, faen, jeg bryter en fyr ned håret.
How would you summarize Christopher's training so far?
Probably should have had 3 more months. In the shorter intervals, in the shorter races. So
it would be the 25K.
So you passed through half marathon in this because it's still hobby. It's still just for you, and it.
This week was all about managing reality. The weather has been a mess, cold, slippery, windy and wet. The kind of combination that makes outdoor running feel more like survival training than marathon prep. So I ended up spending a lot more time on the treadmill than planned, mostly to protect the legs and keep things controlled. Even so, the body hasn't felt great. Heavy legs, a bit of tight breathing, just that overall sluggish feeling you can't fully explain. But here's the interesting part. The numbers are solid, heart rate is low, lactate is where it should be, and every metric says the fitness is moving in the right direction, even if my body doesn't always agree. So this week became about trusting the data, accepting that not every day feels sharp, and remembering that progress doesn't always show up as good sensations. Monday started in the basement, back on the treadmill. After a long run on Sunday, I never really know what kind of legs I'm going to wake up with. It can go either way, hero mode or completely cooked. But today was one of those rare Mondays where things actually felt good. Surprisingly good. So I kept it simple, just an easy 15K, nothing fancy. Settled into a steady rhythm at around 435 per K. Heart rate nice and low at 133. The kind of run that doesn't make a highlight reel, but quickly sets the tone for the whole week. No battles, no drama, just getting the legs moving again and letting the body reset after the long run. If every Monday felt like this, marathon training would be a lot less complicated. Tuesday was another session on the treadmill, a 3K warm-up, then 4 times 10 minutes at 17.3 to 17.4 kilometers an hour, with just 60 seconds recovery between each rep, finishing it off with a 2K cooldown. On paper it's a solid threshold workout and the numbers backed it up. Lactate at 1.9 with a heart rate that stayed unusually low the whole time. But even with the good data, the session felt heavy, not in a dramatic way, just slow mental and physical fatigue. That hits you when the week is still young, but the legs are still remembering Sunday. It was one of those workouts where you just keep showing up rep after rep, trusting the body will settle. Wednesday turned into yet another treadmill day, not by choice, but because winter finally arrived for real. Outside it was cold, icy, and basically one big invitation to slip and break something I still need for Valencia. So the treadmill won again. I kept it steady, 15K at around 435 per kilometer, heart rate averaging 135. Nothing complicated, just controlled, consistent running. And honestly, that's all this day needed to be. There's something almost calming about sessions like this. No weather to fight, no distractions, no surprises, just me, the belt and the rhythm. Another quiet brick in the wall, and another reminder that sometimes the most boring runs are the ones that keep the whole block together. Thursday was my escape mission from the treadmill. After 3 straight indoor runs, I was honestly sick of staring at the same basement wall. So I took my chances outside around Sandnes. It was still icy in plenty of spots, but it felt good just to run on actually ground again, even if part of the run was spent tiptoeing like a scared penguin. 15 kilometers at around 434 per k, heart rate steady 135. The weather wasn't bad either, partly cloud, -1 degree, but nothing dramatic. Just cold enough to remind me this is Norway, but not cold enough to ruin the run. It wasn't the smoothest route, but mentally it felt like a reset. After days on the treadmill, even a slippery path feels like freedom.
Det noe av det. Golf pluss.
Ja, jeg gidder faen ikke bruke en halv million på sånn jævla bil.
Golf pluss er det.
Friday was a treadmill session at Henrik's place, and we didn't exactly start on time. Henrik had a lot on his mind, so the warm-up conversation took a solid half hour before we ever touched the start button. At one point, the cameraman even jumped onto the treadmill next to me between shots, which pretty much sums up the vibe and the whole evening. Organized chaos. The workout itself was 3 kilometers warm-up, then 5 by 8 minutes starting at 7.3 and building up to 7.6 kilometers an hour on the last 2 reps, with just 60 seconds rest in between. Finished with a 2 kilometer cooldown, classic threshold. And even though I felt tired and honestly not very motivated going in, the session went surprisingly well. The pace felt controlled, heart rate averaged 141, and the numbers looked better than I expected for how I felt. It was one of those days where the mind is dragging, but the body quietly does its job anyway. Not the smoothest start, but a really solid session in the end. Thanks to a bit of patience and a bit of pressure and a lot of treadmill mileage. Saturday was back outside around Sandnes, even though I'd picked up a mild cold and felt a bit heavy in the chest. The plan was to run completely by feel, no checking the watch, no stressing over pace or heart rate, just keeping things relaxed. At least that was the plan. Naturally, I ended up running a little too fast towards the end anyway. Classic. It was a wet day, rain, wind from south, 7 degrees but feeling closer to 2 with the gusts. The kind of weather that makes you question your life choices for the first kilometers and then somehow feel totally fine after that. 15 kilometers at an average of 421 per k, heart rate at 133. For having a cold and running blind, it turned out to be a pretty smooth session, maybe a bit too smooth, considering how much the pace sneaked up on me. Sunday was the long run, and it turned out pretty solid. A steady pace, decent feeling, even though the legs got a bit heavy toward the end. I ended up running 27k at around 422 per k, cold, humid conditions, and the kind of day where 3 degrees feels like 1. Classic winter long run. The funny part is that Henrik told me to run a maximum of 25k. Very clear instructions, but stopping there would have left me at 118k for the week, and I just couldn't do it. So I added 2 more to hit a clean 120. Henrik did not appreciate the decision at all, but the math made sense, the legs held together, and honestly, it was a pretty good way to end the week.
Summarize Christopher's training so far?
Pretty good. I would. Well, I think he. If we were to do this the best way possible, we probably should have had 3 more months. With the consistency, because he was a little bit sick and a little bit of 2 times sick, and then we started up with about 12 weeks to go?
8.
8? Okay, so you have even 1 week of illness in between.
What has been the toughest moment in training so far?
That would be the 25k tempo run on Forus. That was very hard, alone, with only the camera guy. It's pretty hard to do marathon pace in such a long session.
So you passed through half marathon in 1:15?
1:15:16. So a little bit behind because there was a little bit windy.
Yeah. But it's nice to know that on that day you could have done the perfect first half of a marathon.
Yeah. I would say
even more than that. So it's first 25, then there's only
I would say that
17
day
left.
I could have run 30k in that pace without problem.
Yeah. And with more energy, less mileage going into a race and a field and a bib and a little bit better conditions, then you're almost there.
What has impressed you the most about Christopher's development? And do you still stand by the time you predicted?
I'm impressed by his dedication and his focus during those long sessions, because some days I think 10 kilometers on the treadmill is way too long. It's being bored and being comfortable being bored is of course a very important skill to have while running the marathon. And well, I'm not sure if I had been this dedicated if I was aiming at something like this, because it's still hobby. It's still just for you. And if you do 2:29 or 2:31, no one cares.
Do the Ingebrigtsen run too hard on the easy runs? Because I'm running maybe a little bit faster sometimes than the average marathoner. But what I can say is that for me it's too boring to run slower. I can't motivate me to run slower than I actually do. What do you think about splitting the runs up and run 2 times 7.5 or 2 times 8 contra 1 times 15?
If you're planning to do a marathon, I would recommend doing it in one run.
Single approach, yeah. They invented
you're not allowed to have a girlfriend. Is that the
no?
the single approach? Because I think this is the most important thing for marathon runners in Norway. No girlfriends.
But what is Christopher's strongest trait as a runner right now? Speed, threshold, endurance, or mental toughness?
He has a pretty good range. So the guys he's running against, like all the other Norwegian guys running 2:30, I'm not sure if you did a competition where you run a 5k, a 10k, a half marathon, and a marathon and put it all together, then you would come out ahead, and it's okay.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest strengths is I would say structure in the training and everything, and
discipline.
A little bit mentally as well.
Yeah, but that's disciplined.
Yeah, is it disciplined?
Yeah.
Okay.
Point is that if you do a conservative approach to the marathon, if you run slower than you could have, and you have a good experience, and you cross the finish line maybe 1 minute or 2 slower than you might have been able to do, that's not a problem.
No.
Then you know that, okay, this time I managed to go the distance, and I felt good most of the time.
Some may have noticed that you have not included any really long sessions, like a 35k plus. Why is that?
And can say I'm a little bit worried because everyone said, "Oh, you have to have 40 kilometers, blah blah blah." Why is that?
In how your training has been and how long time we've had to prepare, I've focused more on the training and the endurance and the strength and the running economy.
Yeah.
Instead of doing, it's an American expression, but trash miles.
Yeah.
You already did the 40k late summer,
Yeah.
so you already have that, and it was no problem. If it had been a problem running 40k, then we might have had to put in one. So in 3 days, you did all of that, but it was a little bit spread out.
Yeah.
So there's less risk in one, because if you push too much in that one session, and because you had that problem with your calf, that week should have been that one longer session, like 35 or something like that.
But instead we had 3 around 30.
Yeah, around 30.
In the correct pace as well.
Yeah.
What I can say, I think 35 plus would be a problem now. Yeah, I'm not sure that I would started in the marathon if I did.
Utfordring. In Valencia when it's
To keep a cool head.
I think
Keep your head cool and your heart warm.
I think
And that's the first challenge, right? That's the first step.
the first step is
To do that
that
10Ks, right? The next step is to pass through half marathon in close to 1:15 or something like that. A little bit faster, a little bit slower, it doesn't matter. And then the next challenge is, like you said, to make it to 32. And then after that, you know that it's 10K left. Even on bad days with heavy legs, you can still run 10K. But every K from that is like just double in effort, I think, almost. So you're dizzy.
my problem is when I lose my head, I don't take gel.
So that's it. I have a metaphor about running too fast in a race like this. It's like drowning. You know, if I were there, then I could shake and slap your face and do your walk 200 meters, drink, take a gel or something, and then start like a reset. That would be a smart idea. You have to think, yes, another one, high five.
Oh.
That's the mentality you have to think positively. So after like 25 or 30K, they run 200 meters smiling like crazy. Like this, because to trick their brain into being more positive.
Yeah, but you know, Christopher has a pretty decent time on the half marathon, but this is the first time he's ever running the full marathon. How different is it?
It's the same, only more. So the worst part of the half marathon, it's more of that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit different because you have to stay so controlled at the start. In my best half marathon, I ran pretty hard all race.
What's your worst running habit?
It's I would say it's not drinking and not taking gels.
Oh yeah, in
So
the race.
No, but in general, that's like you don't drink during your runs.
No.
And that's a bad habit. But
I
I agree
drink.
with you. That's an annoying.
I can drink water sometimes, but I'm very hydrated when I'm doing the intervals.
Yeah.
So I don't need.
Yeah, you don't do the 3-hour sessions. So it
No,
doesn't
but I need the gel. I don't need it, but it's nice to have a gel in 30K runs.
Yeah.
But you don't need drink.
What percentage of your training is like pure stubbornness?
Maybe 50-50.
Yeah. My biggest problem is to actually go out the door.
Yeah.
I hate going to get my trainings and
In
stuff
Norwegian,
and,
we have an expression for that. The
Yeah.
threshold mile. It's just reaching your threshold of the door.
yeah.
That's the furthest. That's the longest distance you'd go in your training.
Yeah, so-
After that,
yeah.
it's easy.
Sometimes I just take on my clothes and just sit there and go out the door and stand there in 5 minutes, and then I just, okay, let's start.
I would choose Philip.